I'm in space.
You're in space.
I see a light that's pulsating, and yet it's moving away from me. And it's cold. But it's still there. Something new is forming. And it's getting warmer.
Very well.
The light almost looks like a heartbeat. There are things moving around me. Turning. I am bluish white. I'm in a new area of space, but it's mine. As I'm turning, the little things around me are turning as well. And I'm supposed to watch over them. I feel myself getting denser and smaller and more solid. I know I am alone, but I am connected to where I came from. I can see others like me, but they're very far away. And as I turn, sometimes I see bright lights. And I see I'm coming close to another sun. And that changes where I am. Because they are moving too. And then it is dark again. And then I feel very, very dense and very, very solid. And I'm not turning as much. I feel like I'm drifting away from everything else. I know that the things that are turning around me are still there, but I can't see them. I feel like something's going to change, but I don't know what it is. And I keep getting smaller and dimmer. And it's cold.
Are there any other beings around you at this moment?
No.
No.
The planets around me are there, but I don't feel them. I just know they're still there.
Plants are around you.
There's a lot of pressure.
Are you floating around the planets, or are you on the planets? Where are you located?
I am the sun.
You're the sun.
They're floating around me. It's very heavy now, though.
So
And then it's light. I feel like there's something else pulling me and pushing me.
something is pulling you as a sun.
Mm-hmm.
So you're taking care of the planets?
Mm-hmm. There's another sun. And I can see just the edge of it. But I can feel the pull as it gets closer. And it's making me smaller and heavier. And it's getting closer.
Getting closer. Is the other sun bigger than you?
A little bit.
Okay.
I'm blue though, and it's orange.
You're a blue sun and it's an orange sun. Do you know that orange sun? Are you familiar with it? Do you know it?
Yes. It feels like me, but not me.
Is it a part of your family?
It's my twin.
Your twin. Is it your feminine twin or male twin?
It's a male.
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter.
Yeah. Is there something that your male twin would like to share with you?
It's coming. We will merge together.
We merge together. Merge together to become an essential sun?
We will merge together and create a multi-galaxy or a multi-galaxy.
Okay.
Because he has his own planets. And that will have a cascading domino effect. It's happened to others as well.
So when both of you join together, what will happen to the planets? Do they have living beings on those planets?
Yes.
What will happen to them when both of you merge together?
They will see a big light. And they will come in and be taken to the next level.
So the people on those planets will see the big light and they'll be brought to the next level.
And then they will understand more.
So will they be heard as physical beings, or they'll just transmute to a higher frequency and they will not feel the difference?
No, they'll be okay.
They'll be okay. Okay.
Some of them understand, some of them don't, but it's okay.
So the love that you have for each other as merging two suns will shift all the planets to a higher frequency reality. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So people knowing or unknowing on the planet, they will not be hurt by that. They will all move up with you and your twin.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
So it's a beautiful moment for all you and your twin and all those on the planets.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel to partake in all of this?
It feels wonderful. Strange because I haven't experienced it. But I have a knowing that it is what is supposed to happen. And I feel like when we merge, there'll be a tunnel or things will suck in like a black hole. But when the merge is complete, then everything will return to where it belongs. In a new way.
And where are you now at this moment?
Waiting.
You're waiting for the merging?
Mm-hmm. I've seen a couple flashes of others like me, but others from other galaxies that have done the same thing. And I'm just waiting for my turn.
You mean other suns from different galaxies?
Yes.
Okay. Those suns that have did the shift, are they all watching you with awe and joy to see that you'll be with them soon?
Yes. I see that it's my turn next.
Mm. Is this the first time you do this?
In this way, yes.
Okay.
In a smaller way, it's happened before. But this is bigger. This one took longer.
So is this in a different time-space location than the Milky Way galaxy?
No.
No. Is this within the Milky Way galaxy?
Uh-huh.
Okay. You're witnessing that something that has happened previously or that's going to happen in the not too distant future.
It's going to happen. It is happening.
It is happening. Does this have anything to do with the current transition of Earth?
Oh, yes.
Yes, okay.
I can feel her there. She's excited.
She's excited.
Mm-hmm.
This
I feel like she's about to give birth.
give birth. Give birth to a new way of being.
Mm-hmm.
She'll be embracing higher frequencies.
Yes.
Do you know the sun that is beside Earth?
Yes.
Is it part of your family?
Yes.
Is the sun by the Earth ready to join you also for the shift?
Yes.
Does our sun have any message that it wants to share through you for humanity?
All is well.
All is well. So our sun and other suns in the Milky Way will go into the same type of shift as you previously described.
Yes. Each one in its time. The one that was to happen before us has already happened. And we're next. We're just waiting for my twin to come closer to me.
Mm-hmm. Is that something that Earth scientists will be able to observe with their current telemetry?
Yes and no.
Okay.
They see it, but they don't want to. Because they're not looking for it, they don't see the signs. They're looking for things that don't matter.
So Earth scientists will not be able to alert humanity about what is unfolding.
No, they will not.
Okay. So the Earth will let no
It
humanity.
is, it is better they don't
Okay.
see because they might be afraid.
So humanity will know to their heart via the Earth. The Earth will sing to the human's heart, saying everything is fine, don't need to worry, I'll take care of you. Is that basically how the transmission of information will be translated for the upcoming shift?
Yes.
So humanity will have a knowingness that what they're going through is not to be feared. It's just everything is all is well.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Like a baby about to be born.
Mm-hmm. Does this include?
It's hard for the humans to understand because they haven't seen it before.
So instead of understanding the intellectual, it's better to just stay in the heart and feel the knowingness that all is well.
Yes.
So the lesson for you.
Everything is taken care of.
Okay.
They just have to be. To allow.
So is the lesson for humanity to move out of their intellect and move into their heart and feel the coming shift? Is that something that humanity should embrace at this moment?
Yes, nothing else matters.
Okay. Will the shift affect climate change here? Because we start seeing a lot of different climate events that are happening and are getting more and more will that affect also the earth as we go through this as a natural transition?
Yes, it's there. It's happening, the rumblings to help wake up and move people to the heart,
So
to
even though,
protect them.
so even though from the human perspective it may seem like alarming or almost like the end of the world, but it's a way for humanity to come with these events, help humanity come close and help themselves and focus on things that are really important. Is that
Yes,
so? You said humanity is very distracted now with the things that they're doing.
yes. And the things they're doing doesn't matter.
Okay.
All that matters is to stay connected with each other.
So all the current economic models and economic systems on the planet will eventually disappear. It will be irrelevant as we go through the shift. Is that correct?
Yes.
So
And it
technology.
matters less and less. And we're going through this shift, and there won't be economic anything.
Okay.
It won't even be anything we think about.
So humanity thinks that technology will help them going through these changes, but that would be incorrect. The technologies can only warn us of the things that are unfolding, but will that be the solution for the shift? Is that correct?
Correct, because the solution is coming from the sun.
Mm-hmm. Will this affect the food supply on the planet? There's a lot of changes right now that are affecting the food supply in the US and the different parts of the planet Earth. So, um,
Only for now.
okay, okay. So things will eventually get better eventually.
Yes.
Okay. So there'll be
Once the earth cracks open through this process, and is born anew, everything will be as it should be. We won't need to eat.
would this be like a normal transition going from, let's say, for example, as we understand here on Earth, going from a meat eater to vegetarian to vegan, and then to a breatharian type of, or let's say
Yes.
from veganism to liquiditarian to eventually breatharian? Is that more or less the natural evolutionary process of the Earth shifts?
Yes. Some are there, but they fight it because they still think with their head.
Mm-hmm. Will the big cities be no longer big cities? Will people move out of the cities, go into the country more and more?
The cities will be there, but they will be different. And the purpose will only be to learn and to heal.
So will the cities go toward more the green aspect of doing more like indoor greenhouses or more outdoor plants, more outdoor vegetation? Or will
Yes, but it will be all natural.
okay. So the current concrete buildings we have in all the modern cities on the planet.
Those are too heavy to come with.
Okay. Okay.
None of that matters.
Okay. Okay. So the all lower frequency will stay behind. So is that only is that only bringing those that are ready, and those that are ready will stay behind, and when they're ready, there'll be a next round for them? Is that how it works?
Yes, everyone can come when they're ready, but there will be steps that will make it easier.
Okay.
As the wheel of Earth turns, certain steps make it easier for them to jump.
And those
But
that
anyone can go when they're ready.
and those that want to stay in the old paradigm, they can just stay where they are, right, and continue their their
If they'd like to, if they have more lessons they have to finish.
okay.
Most do not, though. Most are ready.
So you say it's almost like a mirror where we actually, or a glass mirror, where you see two worlds, we're slowly separating, and those that want to carry on with the new evolutionary planet move to a higher frequency realm, they'll do, and those that want to stay behind and continue the current paradigm, they'll stay behind and they'll do whatever they need to do. So we'll be slowly separating each other as the time move on. Is that correct?
Yes. The very old style, the 3D version, is already separated.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very difficult to contact them. And they don't see that we are not there anymore. They don't even realize it.
So the people in the city that are having a hard time this moment, economically speaking, they like to move to the country, but they cannot because they don't have the financial means. Would you recommend them to just hang tight and just relax and just be in their heart? Because even in the city, they'll shift to that new frequency realm, and so they'll be able to eventually leave the old cities and move to the new cities, not to worry about money and where to relocate, but just sit where they are and just embrace their heart and the frequency.
Don't worry about moving from a physical standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
All that matters is that you look within.
Okay. Yeah, because a lot of people in the current situation now, in 2019, in the years to come, a lot of people have tremendous economic challenges. A lot of companies are closing down, people are losing their jobs all over the planet, and people just don't want to stay in the cities, but they don't have the money to go to the countries. So you will tell them, do not worry, come together and help one another and just be in your heart. And when the shift comes, they'll move to the other reality.
Yes, and the more that they, instead of see how others are different, they focus on how they are the same. Because everyone's going through this together, even if they don't speak it to each other. The more they come together, that lights up another brightness that helps relieve the pain.
So with people like Catherine and others like Catherine that have that understanding, will they be able to bring calmness in their communities, but having that knowingness by reading that or just letting know that everything is fine? And through their voice of that knowingness will come the people around them, their community or the city, so they can actually feel the calmness around Catherine and others like Catherine that have that star seed or that mission statement to provide calmness and understanding and certainty that all is well. So people like Catherine, will they be playing a bigger role as we move through that shift?
Yes. She doesn't have to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
But others, even if they don't know the words for it, they will see her and recognize her, even though she won't look any different. But the waves that have been coming from me, the sun, are taking off the layers, so it's easier for people to feel the energy, even without having to be taught how to do that. And they will come to her for answers.
So people like
They will feel her presence and where she is, and they will come to her for help. And all she has to do is let them know it's okay.
so basically Catherine's frequency will emanate, and that provides a sense of reassurance that all is well, and that people will feel that, and that will help them to calm them.
Yes.
Okay. So there are other people than Catherine that are actually are stationed around the planet. They usually call them indigo, star children, rainbow children, or and across the planet that will play a major role during the shift and bring that sense of understanding and knowingness that all is well?
Yes.
Okay. So they don't need to talk, they just need to be whatever work. They can be a carpenter, they can be a gardener, they can be a bus driver, whatever they do as a job, it's irrelevant. Just their beingness and their knowingness that radiates in the surrounding will bring calmness to the people in their workspace. Is that correct?
Yes. And everything they say to others, even if from a physical standpoint and an old way of thinking doesn't seem like a big deal, every word plants the seed.
Okay. So any indigo star children or rainbow children that are in a position of either construction worker, window washer, gardener, doesn't matter. Just the essence that they radiate, that knowingness. And by speaking simply, and the people will understand to their voice and their frequency and the resonance that it translates into all is well, do not worry.
Yes.
Okay, great. So it's comforting for the other 3D aspect of humanity that don't have that understanding in the presence of indigo star children or rainbow children or star children or star beings in the human body will bring the assurance to them.
Yes.
It's almost like being an undercover agent, would you say? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. So what would happen to the malevolent forces on this planet? They'll have a chance to come with us if they choose to have a new way. They can embrace that also if they want to, right?
If they embrace it, yes.
Okay. So it's
If
open
they
to
can't,
all.
they will be too dense.
Okay, great.
If they choose not to.
Okay. But the door is open to them also, so they can take a new path, they can release the old, and decide that once and for all they want to be part of a new paradigm where it's based on unconditional love,
Yes.
based on co-creation, cooperation. Well, we have star beings, what we refer here on Earth as benevolent extraterrestrial. Will there be a time and space where humanity will make contact with other star nations here on Earth?
They already are.
Okay.
It's hard for people that aren't at the right frequency to see it. But they've always been there.
But will there be more a physical presence where we can use our telecommunication technology to make it more relevant to humanity as we understand here, to cameras or videos or having these meetings more and more be disseminated throughout the planet? Is that something we'll be able to do that in not too distant future?
Yes. Those that stay and don't come up will be able to use those technologies as they learn to come into their own heart. Those that take the leap already have those and will have those integrated within themselves, and their whole life will be integrated with that.
So you see, those that make the shift that already will use the telepathic communication, which is an instant knowing by visual and knowingness. And those that are not ready or not ready now will use their telecommunication devices to educate themselves about their presence. So it's so there's different gradients of those that are ready, those that are not ready, and all is well because those that are not ready will have the technology and social means to transmit that information.
And even if the old way of communicating through electronics doesn't work the same, once the shift occurs, it will be okay because it will actually help to jumpstart us to communicate again with each other.
So the new shift, that actually realigned, because the current understanding of humanity is that our genome has been turned off by the malevolent intruder races here for thousands of years and turned some of our DNA to junk DNA. So with all those genome, we turned back, switched on back, the junk DNA turned back on. So all the faculties will come back to us naturally as they did thousands of years ago, or millions of years ago.
They have been turning on.
Okay, slowly.
Yes, some have turned on faster for others.
Okay.
It all depends on who's ready and who asks for it.
Mm-hmm. So if someone wants to have that understanding, wants to accelerate their reintegration of their genome that's been turned off and the reassembling the junk DNA, will they be assisted by their own higher self and avatar self? How to let so much in so they don't actually hurt themselves, frequency-wise?
Yes, they just have to ask.
Okay.
And their higher self will give them whatever they're ready for.
Okay. So the 3D human, they can simply ask and just.
They won't be. Yes, if they want more, they don't have it. There's nothing to fear.
Okay. So it's basically like an auto-regulation with their avatar self or higher self, so they don't need to worry about that.
Yes.
So would you recommend also for the current 3D human to go more on a clean diet, more high frequency diet, more raw living food that will assist them to anchor more that high frequency?
Yes, the more you clear out the heaviness of the common diet of this time, the faster and the deeper you can integrate the new thoughts and feelings and experiences.
And would some of humanity go to a normal, like dark night of the soul, basically releasing all karmic imprints and all previous time space moments they've had where we're not necessarily make it necessarily positive, but had the terrifying. So would that be
For
true?
those, yes, for those that need that, they can have it.
Mm-hmm. So will they be able to transmit all those previous negative imprints they had that's been pressed upon them by intruder races? So can they transmit?
Yes,
Okay, they'll be able to transmit.
just by acknowledging the feelings and acknowledging what is happening.
Okay, so
Releases it.
So if people would have some people would have for no apparent reason, fearful uncertainty or shakiness. That's a natural process they actually are transmuting. They just need to relax and keep on breathing. So they don't need to worry about that. It's just a natural releasing of whatever was in them being released. So is that
Yes.
some people will do that? Okay. So they shouldn't worry about like out of the blue, they start feeling fearful for no apparent reason. And it's just these old karmic patterns are being released. So not to be fearful about that.
Yes, so many things are being cleared.
Okay. Yeah, you can see there's a lot of chaotic uncertainty about how people behave with themselves. So it's just, yeah, for some of them it's confusing because they don't understand why all of a sudden they feel fearful or uncertain. So one of these people like yourself and other indigo, star children, rainbow children will provide more groundedness and certainty.
Yes, and it's less about why are you feeling that way and more about it's okay that you're feeling that way and that it's okay to let it go.
Okay.
And the more you let it go, the more you become what you want to be. And from seeing up above, I can see that it's easy to be stuck from underneath, but because you can't see what's coming next.
Mm-hmm.
But from up above, I can see it's all going to be okay.
Because you have a higher perspective. So by having higher perspective, you you feel reassured that humanity will do fine because of that higher perspective that you have as a son.
Yes. Hmm.
So it's a big responsibility for the sun to take care of the solar system and its planets.
Yes, but it is what it is.
Mhm. Are you in touch with the central sun of the Milky Way?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So is it the central sun that is increasing its pulsation, that affecting all the other suns, all the other stars in our Milky Way?
Yes.
Okay.
She is giving everyone more energy
Okay.
in waves, and then I pass that to the planets around me in more waves.
So
And it always happens that way. And it's happened that way since the beginning, since I got here. It's always expanding.
some astronomers
Sorry, humans just don't understand because they haven't been able to remember before their physical life here.
so once the subconscious mind is being reintegrated into a conscious mind, all this will come back to them.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Because the subconscious mind is not normal, because most of humanity cannot access that. So that's been created by intruder races, by manipulating our genome. But all when this has come back once online, the subconscious will be fully conscious. So we'll be conscious being, not segregated into a superconscious, conscious, and subconscious type of division, but all as one pure conscious mind.
Yes.
Okay. So all that knowingness will come back to humanity, and all we talked about will be known.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
A lot of astronomers have noticed the big objects by the sun, the size of planets, almost look like taking energy from the sun. Who are those big spheres? Are they malevolent forces that try to take advantage of the sun here by taking energy to fuel their vessels or their? Who are they?
There were those that have tried,
Okay,
but they have been gone.
okay,
And others from other galaxies come through me to
okay,
visit this galaxy.
okay. So you're a portal for them to travel
Yes.
from their sun to your sun.
Yes.
So you're a portal station. That if humanity would understand how you work, we can go through you. We can go from your sun to another sun in the Milky Way.
Yes. And before malevolent beings were able to come through me because I wasn't at that level.
Okay.
But they can't because I've reached that level from the central sun,
Okay.
from those waves.
So now you're actually more in control of who comes in and who comes out.
Yes.
Will a future humanity or future human, once it's able to activate its Merkaba vehicle of light, be able to go to the sun as a natural portal, once they're able to activate their own personal Merkaba vehicle of transportation?
Anyone that would like to, yes.
Okay. So the Merkaba vehicle, it's a natural organic vehicle of light and sound that's inherent for any humans, but because of their mutation, they will not be able to activate in the old paradigm, but the new paradigm, they'll be able to activate their Merkaba vehicle once again. Is that correct?
Yes.
So they are
That is
going.
why she is here,
Okay.
because her Merkaba works and
Yes.
functions well. And she will show others how to use theirs.
So is it fair to say that the spaceships are for groups that are disconnected from creation, and that they use the material sciences to create metallic ships or type of physical ships to help it transport themselves from one location to another? But if they were to embrace the loving energies from creation, these beings could have activated their natural organic Merkaba vehicle, but they haven't chosen that. So that's why they need to create physical ships to emulate that. Is that a fair?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
And it takes them longer to travel,
Okay.
so they won't be as successful.
Okay. So the better way to try to move to the multiverse or to the cosmoverse will be to a Merkaba. That's the natural organic process of a living cosmoverse or a living cosmos. That it's organic, it's natural, and every being has that. Either you're Syrian or Andromedan or Pleiadian or
Yeah,
Nectarian.
it doesn't matter.
Doesn't or even reptilians can do it. Draconian. So all
Mm-hmm.
great. Great.
And the difference is that when you are able to keep your own Merkaba and you merge with others that are also activating their Merkaba and you do it together, then you can travel faster because you've created a ship with others because you're part of the ship.
Oh, so you create like a group, like a group type of. It's like
Like a hive almost.
interesting. So you create like almost like a mothership. Would you say?
Yes.
Okay. So more tiny Merkabas coming together, creating a larger Merkaba can
Mm-hmm.
travel other distances or other multidimensional realities and the cosmoverse.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's when sometimes people travel to ships. The ship can only like humans can travel to ships and other places, but they can only handle a certain amount of people because the frequency is too different.
Okay. So do we have to bubble them a type of frequency protection if they do want to,
Correct.
if they want to have a visit in their light ship? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So do we have currently speaking, many decades on planet Earth, we have these light ships from Andromeda coming here. So these beings were just coming and observing us, and so they use the same type of a Merkaba type of a technology, would you say?
They come just to watch us, to check on us, and they each have their Merkaba, yes.
Okay.
And we perceive them as physical ships, but from the inside, it's just groups of individuals from other planets and other existences
Okay.
just joining together. And that's why on a physical 3 and 4D level, it's harder to see those because those frequencies are moving too rapidly.
So the shift that our solar system and Milky Way is going to, is this something that's happening to the Andromeda Galaxy and the Triangulum Galaxy, the two nearest galaxies near the Milky Way?
It is, yes.
Okay.
They're at a different pace.
Okay.
I believe they've gone already.
Okay. So they're slightly ahead of us.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. That's great. That's great. So it's a great having this understanding, this message. It's a great way to serve this message to humanity, as you've been sharing with us as the wonderful upcoming shit that is happening. And is there anything that you'd like to share with humanity as you're going, as your perspective as the son, we're going through this, that you'd like to share with those that maybe would like to listen to this stuff?
It's almost here.
Okay.
Just embrace love. That's all that matters.
Okay. Yeah, people need to hear that because currently, as I've mentioned before, every nation on this planet are going through economic hardships, are going to climate changes that are affecting the farms, that are affecting food supply, They actually companies are laying off people more and more throughout the planet, and it's really becoming a crisis, a planetary crisis, for work, for food, for uncertainty. So we're going through great changes, and that is a fact. So having
Yes,
an
all of that is
understanding,
necessary to help.
move from
It
the
is
mind.
all it is all helping to move from the mind of what we think we need
Okay.
to what we actually need.
Okay. So even though it looks like a crisis, but that would be almost like a jump start for humanity to leave the intellect and just go right through the heart and just have that full connection with the gut, heart, and mind all as one and not separate.
Yes. It is like the transition when a woman gives birth, where the last few moments before the baby's born, she says she can't do it. That's what humanity feels like right now, is that we can't do it.
A lot of people, a lot of astronomers, a lot of researchers are fearful about CME's corona mass ejection that will affect the electronics here on Earth. Um, does humanity need to fear that, or the sun will be able to control itself and not necessarily knock out telecommunication, as we think it might do?
The scientific community believes that any change would be bad because it is put there in order to control others and control the information. They know it is coming as well, but all they can see is that it is bad. The humans themselves know that much more is happening and much more is changing. There is nothing to fear. It's hard to take a step back and look at what's going on, but you can do that if you shift your perspective. But all is well.
Yes, from a higher perspective, but from a 3D planetary standpoint, a lot of people will have a lot of worries and anxieties and uncertainty and fear because they don't remember going through this in previous time-space locations. So it's almost as if they don't know how to face the situation. So once again, all these other beings on planet, star children or star beings that have that mission, can provide that level of knowingness and certainty in their work.
Mm-hmm.
So, will the plant kingdom also provide that place for humanity to have refuge, to spend time in the park, connect with nature? Would that help also?
Yes, that will help. But ultimately, there's nothing externally that a human has to do. They just have to calm their mind and listen to their heart.
Yeah, this is something difficult for the early part of the 21st century human, because the current modern world, as we know it now in 2019 and the years to come, it seems to be more and more about technology, more about these smartphones, social media. People are so distracted that they're not grounded anymore. They're not in touch with nature, and it seems like they're confused. So when the shift comes, these electronic devices will be affected. So that'd be perhaps a good time when these devices don't work, that humanity comes back to their senses and back to their heart and back um, to their community and be of service to his fellow man or fellow woman. Is that
Yes.
okay?
Mm-hmm. And that's why the star seeds and indigos have been placed on the earth.
Mm-hmm.
They
And
are able to see the technology and use the technology for the good of humanity, so that when the technology goes away, they're prepared to help the others.
so all the technology that we have, like Skype, Zoom, or it was a necessary transition to share that information to as many humans as we can, and as fast as possible as we can. So
Yes, that speeds the process rapidly.
okay, so all these like these sessions now that we have can be posted on YouTube, so people can listen and can be more comforted to know that all is well and not to worry, and to share that information with other people and other people and other people. So we have a level of mass consciousness understanding that what we're going through, it's a natural, it's a necessary process, and not to fear, because we're not alone, and we've never been alone.
Yes, that is correct.
So their beloved star beings now with their light ship all around Earth will be seeing this right now. So it's not just the ground crew, but we have also those in the atmosphere, or those in the stratosphere with their light ships. They're always seeing this as we speak.
Yes.
Okay.
The humans are never alone, even though they don't feel what is around them.
Not because of their genomes being switched off, the junk DNA has prevented them to get in touch with their higher senses. But this will change eventually because the genome will be switched back on. The junk DNA will be rehabilitated to its natural state. So they'll have that knowingness eventually.
Yes, it's happening faster than people realize.
Okay, that's great. So it's a great time for humanity to go through this wonderful change.
Yes.
So Catherine had a question about her galactic origins. Um,
Yes.
is it something that you'd like to share with her at this moment?
Yes, she came directly from Source
Yeah.
to become a starter of worlds.
Okay.
And she's chosen to incarnate when new civilizations have come on the planets in this solar system.
She would say that's more or less her mission statement.
Yes.
Okay. That she comes directly from creation to jumpstart these new worlds.
Yes.
But she comes more in a physical, individual being here to try to disseminate that understanding and information on different platforms as we know it, to Zoom, YouTube, or social media.
Yes.
So that can be heard through all these different channels of communications.
Mm-hmm. And just by existing on the planet, the frequency changes.
Okay. So some say that this has never happened. This is something beautiful to embrace. This wonderful time in human history where we'll once again know what freedom really is, and we'll unite with creation and with our higher self and our authentic eternal self, and we'll bring back that sense of freedom that we've lost for millions of years because of the intruder races have kept humanity from Lyra all the way down to Orient, Alpha Centauri to Earth, have been hunted down by the Draconian forces, and has been through a lot of hardship. So this is, in a sense, a very wonderful healing phase of humanity to embrace and to come back to its original, authentic, eternal self of pure love and freedom.
Yes, it's the transitions have happened many times through each solar system, but each one is new because it is bigger and more all encompassing and more expanded than before. So, yes, transitions have happened in the past for these planets and races and humanities, but this is bigger than we've experienced before.
It's big in a sense because, I mean, humanity has been traumatized for all these thousands and millions of years, and having the genome switched off and had to pray for gods that were intruder races. I mean, it's been a nightmare for humanity, and not feeling connected, and had to praise for these gods with small g's that use their flying saucers to impress the humans, and we had to be in a state of continual fear and uncertainty and unknownness. But all of this will disappear, and
All of that was gone.
this will make it a wonderful new way of reacquainting ourselves once again with authentic eternal self.
It was hard to watch while it was happening, but it was to teach us what our worth was, so we could see the opposite, to create just that small area of polarity so that we could grow and we could embrace who we truly are.
But some say that we went too far, we became too heavy, and we got too disconnected, and that experiment has failed. And I think creation has realized that we should never let this go this far down, because it creates that type of disconnection and hardship that even previous avatars that came here could help humanity many thousands of years ago, because the frequency wasn't there yet. So it's been a very challenging place on Earth. That's why it's considered Earth to be one of the toughest places in the cosmos for learning. And but now all this will fade away, and we're embracing new humanity.
Yes, from my perspective, looking down at humanity, I see all of those individual souls growing and learning and incubating until they're ready to hatch into and to jump forward so far, further than they would be able to go if they had had a comfortable time.
Mm-hmm.
And that adversity has taught them so much more about themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and given them more compassion and more understanding, and taught them more about who they are,
So
so that
eventually,
they could be more. And each of those volunteered and chose to be there, even if they didn't remember it while they were there.
yes, they eventually become wonderful creators themselves, but having all that understanding and wisdom.
Yes.
They'll become sons, and eventually they become creators, creating their own galaxies. And being through all what they've been through will create far more beautiful and fantastic galaxies based out of love, co-creation that creation has never seen before. So it's a wonderful time for humanity to eventually have that understanding. We ourselves will become creators eventually,
Mm-hmm.
and create worlds that cannot even begin to imagine, because creation has understood that it had to learn a new way of doing things, and it's learning from us, and
Mm-hmm.
because we bring that information back to creation, and we know what works, what doesn't work. Next time around, we can create even more beautiful galaxies and beautiful planets and worlds and races. And So a lot of humanity now are talking about disclosure in the last few years right now on a big scale, talk about secret space program and what the American military has hidden from the American society, or the Russians or the Chinese or the French or the Germans have had secret space program working together, but they've kept this away from humanity. Will this be presented in disclosure to humanity, the truth of what really happened on this planet?
Yes, the truth is there now.
Mm-hmm.
Some are able to understand it and comprehend it, but others that aren't ready for it won't see it.
But will it be presented like Dr. Greer is trying to do another documentary in the fall of 2019 to show the contact that he has made in the CE5 initiative in different parts of the United States, and showing that there is contact being made? So he's trying to educate the masses on Earth that we are making contact, and it's our role as humans to become ambassadors to greet other star nations here and co-create that loving understanding that we're not alone, and that we can sit around a campfire and sit with a draconian, or sit with a Syrian, or sit with a Sasquatch or other beings, and not being fear of one another. Is that something that we'll eventually experience here on Earth?
Yes, some will. Much of it happens around the time of the shift. Some that see these changes now, it will be easy for them to understand. But for those that aren't ready, it will take much longer. And even if they see one in person, they won't even recognize it. It'll appear completely different to someone who is not ready because their frequency can't acknowledge it.
So even though disclosure will happen on a global scale, it doesn't mean that everyone will embrace it.
Correct, because they won't understand and they won't acknowledge it.
Okay. So the work of Dr. Greer and many others in the disclosure movement is actually having a positive contribution to humanity. Even though humanity is not ready, at least the information is there, and they can watch it again over and over. And when they're ready, they can open more their heart and have more understanding and not be afraid to communicate with the star nations. But those that are ready, they can take off sooner.
Yes, and when they are ready, they will see and look out for the information, and they'll be able to perceive it. So all the work that all the humans are doing is directly helping with that process and making that information more available on an individual level for those that are ready to embrace it. And everyone that embraces it plants more seeds for the next wave of individuals and the next wave. So it creates that domino effect.
So all the efforts that we do through disclosure or BQH sessions being uploaded on YouTube so people can listen and understand what's coming is all of service to humanity for those that want to listen and learn.
Yes. And even if someone doesn't see it, just the fact that it exists there changes the frequency ever so slightly. And the awareness is there. Whether or not an individual actually has watched something or experienced it firsthand, just the fact that that new experience exists on the planet brings the humans all up just a little. So each and every one going through each and every experience creates big jumps.
A lot of humanity that have interest in this understanding that you speak about the cosmoverse, the multidimensional reality, and star nations, and that want to really make contact with star nations. Do they need to go to the country to be in a forested area in order to make contact with star nations, or they can be right in the heart of a big city in their apartment, and through meditation and lowering their brain waves from beta to alpha to theta brain waves, to have a medium, a space where they can actually interact with those star nations. So,
It doesn't matter where you are.
okay.
From a human level, it doesn't matter where you are,
Okay.
because the information and the contact and the abilities that you have are within you at all times.
Because some are saying that cities have a lot more interference, Wi-Fi, telephone towers, and now a lot of them are worrying about 5G. 5G is a big concern now with the holistic field. A lot of scientists are ringing the alarm bells now for 5G because current research understanding 5G will affect the mitochondria. The mitochondria is very crucial to our cells. So it's almost as if there's a plan to actually uh, to intercept humanity receiving those new frequencies coming into Earth.
So from a scientific and lower frequency, those will harm those that are at that level and choose for that if that's the lesson they need to learn. But if you choose to embrace the higher frequencies and want to be protected, you will be protected. Those that acknowledge and choose to come from a place of love will no longer fear that, and it will no longer touch them, because that's a very high or strong, heavy frequency, and it can't exist at a higher level.
So basically, modern humanity needs to understand that just being in the heart space, in the love space, supersedes any type of synthetic technology, even 5G here on Earth.
Correct. The electronics and technology that humans are aware of now is nothing compared to what is coming. And 5G is like a baby step when where humanity will be is a marathon ahead.
But is there a sense from your perspective that humanity, because there's a lot talking about now on social media and on YouTube presentations that and current scientists ringing the alarm bells, will modern humanity able to stop the rolling of 5G, or they will not be able to stop it?
From a scientific standpoint, it will continue for as long as it is needed. If any harm comes to those that choose to be protected from it, that is when I will step in.
Okay. So, but there's really no need for 5G. 5G has been implemented from the, let's say, shadow side of these control factors on Earth try to impede humanity.
It's only there for control.
Okay.
Right. Under the guise of helping humanity be able to connect better, but
isn't it responsible for humanity to stop 5G? Is it part of their lesson to say, hey, we don't want this, we don't want this, we don't want this. We're not going to let you take off with it. We as humanity decide not to have 5G. So it's part of humanity's lesson to come together and say, we as a humanity don't want 5G. We don't need 5G. We have enough as 4G. We don't need 5G. So it's up to humanity. Is that a lesson for humanity to come together and say no?
It's an important lesson because some will look at it from a place of fear and say, it will help them wake up and understand that they need to take control of their own life rather than just blindly listen to what they're being told by those that they've allowed to control them. And that's an important step in waking up humans. And once those humans have woken up, their frequency changes to a level that the 5G can't reach.
So, but will humanity eventually be able to stop it by the understanding and by sharing via social media or YouTube presentations or documentaries that are upcoming, saying that we as humanity don't want 5G, we as humanity will not accept 5G, we as humanity demand to have it full stop. We humanity are the ones that are deciding, and we will not accept that.
Yes, 5G will stop, but before that, it has to wake up, the majority. And then 5G will disappear when the light comes. But it's there to create that wanting for something better. And that wanting for something better is what creates the birth of the new world.
So basically, the lesson for humanity is that when you sit down and do nothing, the intruder races keep amping up their game, and it creates more hardships and more difficulties. So if we don't want hardships and difficulties, we humanity need to come together and say, hey, we don't want this old paradigm. We want a new paradigm. So it's up to us to come together and say, enough is enough. We don't want this anymore.
Yes, that is exactly.
Okay. The upcoming shift that you talk about in frequency, it's something that we're talking about progressing in the years to come, like 5, 10, 15 years. So it's increasing slowly, gradually, year after year after year.
It's getting faster every Earth year.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it is happening already, and it's been happening for a while.
Mm-hmm. So there's no actual date, because a lot of people will ask in 3D, what's the date, what's the actual date? It's very hard to pinpoint the actual date. It's just that we know that it gets stronger and stronger, and we just need to be ready for that. And that's all we need to be ready. When it will come, it will come. It can be 5 years, 10 years, 15, but it's coming.
It's progressively coming faster and faster. Mm-hmm. The actual date doesn't matter, but it will happen when the poles occur, change. Mm-hmm. Everything will tie together, and it will seem very chaotic from a human standpoint. Mm-hmm. But that's because so many things are changing all at once.
Mm-hmm. Yes, like we talked about, the climate is changing, the ice cap, the glaciers from Greenland, Antarctica, the Arctic are melting away at a fast rate. And so the ocean will rise, there's no doubt about that. And all the coastal cities around the planet are not being alerted by the governments. They should start slowly rethinking how they're going to leave the coastal areas, and how they're going to need to relocate interior into the land masses. And none of this has been talked about, none of this has been prepared. And will eventually humanity come to understand that, wow, like in Miami, there's already a small village in Miami being flooded by the ocean, and the people have to move out. So this is going to happen all over the planet.
It is going to be many changes, but placed there specifically so that the humans can wake up and come into their own power, and to take charge and not wait for governments or those in control to make the changes, but for the changes to come from within the people themselves.
So we see
and how they act and how they treat others and where they focus their energy.
The governments of the world are not telling, they know what's coming, they're not telling people. So that's
correct.
That's the malevolent aspect of their agenda. They just want to kill as many people as they can without telling them. So it's up to humanity to get the information, get ready. They need to relocate. They need to relocate without waiting for the government to tell them the official time to relocate. So it's up to humanity to take charge and be responsible and take care of their family and the communities and realize that if it's not a safe place to live, they need to move more inland.
Correct.
Okay. So to depend on the government is being really not responsible within ourselves because it's already dysfunctional. Planetary governments on this planet are dysfunctional. So humanity to start to relate and back to community and one-to-one, face-to-face, hand-to-hand, and really come back together as one and co-create a better living space if the coastal areas are being flooded.
Correct.
Will the growing season be a little bit longer for the northern hemispheres because of the increase in frequencies?
It will change.
Mm-hmm.
It will be chaotic for a few years before the shift, or a few seasons, depending on the speed at which this change is ready from a human perspective.
So will the cities generate more and more greenhouses to grow their food supply compared to traditional farming as we know it? Because
Yes.
the climate change will be so unpredictable, we'll need to do more and more what they call these vertical greenhouses in big cities, using abandoned parking lots and transforming them into greenhouses with
Alternative ways of growing things and ways of living and ways of creating things will begin to be more obvious.
will emerge because we'll have no other choice. Basically, we'll have to really rethink how we grow food, and
Correct, but that helps us to and pushes us into a more connected sense of being as well, which is exactly the direction that needs to be.
so we'll have more new technologies about new LED lights that can be used that simulate the sun to grow on food. So this technology will emerge eventually to have better LED simulating the sun so we can grow indoor food in the city.
Yes, things will be growing more indoor,
Mm-hmm.
especially as more people are changing the foods they eat. And
So
as the seasons from the outside shift and change and become more unpredictable.
mm-hmm. So technology will still play a great important for the modern humans that will have more sophisticated LED lights that will simulate the sun so they can grow their own food indoors. So that will play an important part also for.
Yes, and the changes will help slow people down enough to realize that differences in food consumption and the differences in the way in communicating with others, um, to help them come from places of love.
The transportation system as we know it, the gasoline, or even like some say electric car is not the solution because you keep taking more lithium from the earth. So you're actually raping the earth more by building more electric cars. So a lot of current researchers are finding out that the electric car is not the solution at all, and nor are the gasoline cars. Will there be a new form of energy or a new, maybe rethinking how we live in cities, work more locally instead of traveling from one suburban area to another for work? So all this will be rethought once again. Because it's a big push for.
Everything will be more local.
Mm-hmm.
And more focused on the places near you, specifically to help build that connection with others and to make it harder to just pass by those in need, because those in need will be in your inner circle areas.
But is it true that the electric car, like Tesla, is not the solution?
It is a form of control.
Mm-hmm.
It is a way to pacify a human. the human believing they're doing the right thing by relying on another just as harmful form, when in reality less vehicles is what is needed.
So more
Because
like
by putting a physical vehicle between people, it's harder to just pass by them and not pay attention. And by slowing down the pace of what humans are doing and forcing them to be more present in every moment and more connected with others, encourages them to use their heart more, which is exactly what is needed.
some researchers.
So those technologies were used to create and separate, but the heart knew it would be a way to stimulate the growth of people to come back together, and they'll come back together faster than it took them to separate.
Some researchers in the disclosure movement are saying that all the secret space, like Dr. Greer was mentioning, all the secret space program anti-gravity ships will actually be made public, and that can be used as a mode of transportation taken up vertically, and let's say flying from LA to France or LA to Paris in 15 minutes instead of taking 15 hours by plane. Would that become more and more of a reality, and not necessarily needing the old transportation of plane, gasoline, and using more of these secret space program type of electromagnetic anti-gravity ships as the main mothership, transporting 2,000, 5,000 people from point A to point B in less time and polluting less the environment? Is that something that can be brought back to society? Because it's been paid through the taxpayers' money that belongs to humanity. All those secret space program, uh, you know, anti-gravity ships or electromagnetic gravity ships, as they would call them.
Yes, they're there and they're ready for when we are ready to come from a place of love.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, they are kept from us to try to control us.
Mm-hmm.
Those will be used in the future, very soon, when we are ready to use those to connect.
Because, a lot of people will, the reason I'm asking those questions, because people listening to this would have had those questions. That's why I'm coming up with those questions from 3D perspective, because the climate changes will have a lot of consequences, like earthquake, floods, sinkholes, roads will split. So the old ways of commuting and transportation will no longer exist, because the trail lanes will be cracked, the highways will be cracked, they'll have sinkholes. So
Yes, those were unsustainable.
So we'll have to have those electrogravitic ships, or some people call them, anti-gravity ships, as a means of transporting from point A to point B in a vertical fashion instead of being horizontal. So this will need to come online in order to transport food from one continent to another to assist other parts of humanity. So they will need to come online. Is that correct?
But yes, they will come online when the time is right.
Mm-hmm.
And when we are ready to use them for good.
So are the governments like Russia, China, America, Germany, France, UK, Canada, Australia, uh, understand that they'll have to make it public, because it will be for their own survival also. So they'll have no choice but to bring those technologies and make them available for humanity, because every nation will be in big need of them to help one another out, transporting food from one continent to another.
Yes, that information and those technologies were given from the extraterrestrials in order to help humanity, but then they were held by those governments and those in control and tried to use as negative things.
Mm-hmm.
They were held back by those extraterrestrials from being implemented because it would harm humanity the way that those in control wanted to use them.
But during the time of shift, there'll be these devices, electromagnetic,
Everything will come out.
okay, to be of service to humanity. Okay.
Yes, and there's those that know how to construct those. And there are those that know how to use those, that once the shift occurs and as we get closer to the shift, that will bring those things online on a global scale.
Another question I'd like to bring forward, surely someone is going to ask that, is that Andrew Basiago used to be part of, it's called the Jump Gate Room in the 60s, part of the American military jump room, as they call them, teleported from California to Mars with Barack Obama, who was also involved as a child with Andrew Basiago, who's a lawyer right now. And Andrew Basiago has been talking for the last 25 years, sharing his story, where he's been teleported at a young age during Lincoln's time. They took a photo, and this all been all over the internet as being a child during Abraham Lincoln time, being teleported as a young man, and also being teleported on Mars. So the reason I'm sharing it with you is because Andrew Basiago would like to run for president in 2024, and he says that if he runs for president, he'll make sure that they'll have teleportation devices all around the planet, so people don't need to use airplanes anymore. Will that be a reality? Because the secret space program already has those teleportation devices.
That is a potential.
Okay.
Many will shift before then, though.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And those that choose to remain will
Use those
have
devices.
that as a potential.
Okay. But it seems to me that we'll cut down on all the necessary flight or car. If you just go to like a doorway, it brings you, let's say, from Ohio to Miami in a split second.
Yes, and those technologies have been given to us as a way to utilize our own Merkaba, even though, well, we're waiting to trust our own. So it's sort of a stepping stone for those to be able to use their own Merkaba, who then can transport themselves wherever they want to without any external technology.
So these teleportation stations, as Andrew Basiago would want to make them available if he becomes president, because it's available from the secret space program, can be reality as bringing forth to be of service to humanity.
Yes, that is a potential.
Okay. Okay. So that's something that's a potential, but not a certainty. Is that correct?
The option is there for those that choose to use that.
Okay.
Not everyone will feel they need to travel in that way, and others will choose to travel through their own Merkabas.
Okay. Okay. The Merkabas is what they will be the most. So basically, that's the destiny of humanity, is to learn how to use their Merkaba.
Yes, and for those that are not able to go within enough and trust themselves enough, those technologies are there for those that choose to use them.
Okay. Because the reason I mentioned that, because it's interesting, because in the Star Trek Beyond film in 2016, they've showed this glass planetoid. It's a city, but it's made out of glass. And in that glass planetoid where the humans were living, skyscrapers, bullet train, they had these teleportation station devices. You can see in the film, they're showing a guy entering that booth and would just teleport himself to another location. So interesting that Andrew Basiago was sharing that in the Star Trek Beyond movie in 2016. You see this in the movie scene where this planetoid sphere-like station with humans, large cities, have these booths inside that can teleport that. Is that a
Yes.
way to, is that a form of slow disclosure to humanity?
Those are definitely, those are ways of showing humanity that those powers exist and that they are benevolent and they are okay,
Okay.
to help build those steps towards humanity embracing it themselves.
So they're basically like crutches until we're able to be fully aligned with our authentic eternal self and reignite our organic Merkaba vehicle transportation.
Yes.
Okay.
Once you're fully online, you don't need any external technologies because you yourself are the technology, and not from a artificial standpoint, but a completely organic, natural standpoint. Your consciousness is the technology.
So reclaiming once again the angelic ability that we once had as 12-strand DNA angelic being, fully empowered, fully in connection with creation, and fully able to move throughout time, space, location, the multidimensional universe, the cosmoverse with the Merkaba organic vehicle.
Yes.
Okay. Well, there's been a lot that's been shared here. I think a lot of people would find very interesting by listening to this and share with their friends that we're entering very interesting, challenging times, but also wonderful times. And I'd like to thank aspects of you who is a son, the higher perspective, sharing that understanding and wisdom. And is there anything else you'd like to share to humanity who will be listening to that, to either social media or YouTube, that you'd like them to know or understand?
Simply trust that all is well and look from within to find the answers you seek.
Some might say, well, that's a simple answer, but sometimes simplicity has its complexity in it.
It is the truest answer.
Mm-hmm. So I'd like you to once again thank you, aspects of your twin, to come on board here and share all that wonderful information. I'd like to thank all our guides for assisting here during the session. I'd like to thank you once again for bringing that information to all of us here on Earth, and for Catherine also. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.